Y'all, welcome back to Rick Knows Hoops. I'm your host, Tyreek. Excuse the hair, it's a little bit of a mess, but hey, I want to talk about them Valley boys, man, the Phoenix Suns. So yeah, let's get into it. Before we start though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. On the road to 200 subs, you know, we kind of on the way. We on the way, man. I appreciate all the support though, but yeah, I'm gonna get into the Suns game. They just played the Lakers. But I want to talk about the referees in this game, and bro, the refs. It seems like referees are so like, it's either they're ego driven or they're too sensitive these days, man. Like they be teaming up people for no reason at all, and especially in this game, like it was so crazy. Like the way Devin Booker got ejected, like it was like it was just so confusing. Like the announcers didn't even know that he got ejected. Like I think all like they teed him up the first time. I don't even know the basis on why they teed him up, but then the second time they teed him up was like, I don't know if he maybe said something to the referee like that. Maybe that's the one explanation, but they just ejected him like immediately. It was a weird situation, bro. And you know, luckily for the Suns, they have experience playing without D-Book this season, but it was just bad. National TV game, and he was playing so well in that first half and into that third quarter. Him and LeBron was really going back and forth, you know, at the time. And you know, him being ejected, like it's bad. It's bad for basketball. We've seen this a couple times already this season. Like we saw JJ Redick got ejected I think last Sunday he got ejected. Also on national TV for like throwing a backspin pass to the referee or something like that. They ejected him for that. It was just like the rest. We seen Draymond get ejected, get the double technicals. Like, I mean that was kind of warranted, but it's still like, you know, referees they try to control the game so much, man, and it's like, just let the players play. Let the players play. It's much more fluid. That whole third quarter in this Suns-Lakers game was just so congested because the referees are really controlling the game, reviewing stuff that shouldn't be reviewed. That's a whole issue for a whole nother video. Like the replay situations that be going on, man, it's all a mess. That has to be cleaned up, especially on national TV games, you know, because that's when, you know, casual fans are actually tuning in. Not just, you know, diehard fans who watch a lot of different basketball because, you know, they got league pass and stuff like that. But, you know, these are like the games where, you know, you have your biggest audiences, and it's hard for people to stay tuned in when referees are stopping, you know, blowing a whistle every other possession to review, you know, flagrant acts or, you know, technical fouls or whatever. But that's my little referee rant right there. This was a really good game, though. Really good game. I want to talk about Chris Paul. Because Chris Paul hit one shot this game. He hit a shot in the fourth quarter. He hit a three-pointer. He only had 8 points, hit 5 free throws. And it's still like those numbers. He only took 4 shots. And still one of the best players on the court. Controlled the pace of the game, especially in that fourth quarter when his team just needed it the most. And they were exploiting the matchup they had with Dario Saric. They were exploiting that matchup. Dario Saric had a really big fourth quarter, scored 10 buckets in the fourth quarter. He had 21 for the game. And they kept getting him on switches. He was getting inside position, and he was getting whatever he wanted in that painted area, really dominating in the paint, which is good to see for the Suns team, especially with Devin Booker not being there. Chris Paul I'm not going to say not having a good shooting tonight because he only took 4 shots, but not having an aggressive offensive night. Like, he just wasn't looking to take shots. And he's been really playing that point guard role, man. Like, that's just what he does. He's really the point guard. And he had 10 assists in this game too, double figures assists, I think in like 4 straight games if I'm not mistaken, something like that. But he's really been running this team to perfection. Jay Crowder shot the ball pretty well. Mikal Bridges was shooting the ball well. I seen early on like Cam Johnson was shooting the ball well. DeAndre Ayton had a solid game like early on, kind of, you know, filtered off at the end. But, you know, the Lakers are still tough regardless of who's on the court. It's good to see Dennis Schroeder back after he had the contact tracing stuff. It's good to see him back. He brings a new element to this team that they really missed. Still no Anthony Davis, which you take everything with the Lakers with a grain of salt with no AD because they're a completely different team without him. But, you know, LeBron is still LeBron, and I'm never counting LeBron out as long as he's on the court and as long as he's being LeBron James. Never counting him out. He had a, you know, big-time game today. And it was really like he was scoring points in bunches. Like, I think fourth quarter he had 14 points. And, like, he had, like, 11 in the second, 9 in the third. Like, he put all them last 3 quarters, he was in attack mode. And the evolution of his game is number one, it's scary like how good he still is and how like he's getting better with age. Like even though his like athleticism is like slowly declining, the skill in his game is ridiculous at this point. Like the man's is like hitting 3-pointers at a good rate now. Like I don't know if he's still 40% right now, but you know, first few weeks, like 3-4 weeks of the season, he was shooting 40% from downtown, and his jumper looks so more fluent now. He's got that turnaround down pat. That fadeaway, he has that down pat. Like that's a money shot for him right now, and he's just so crafty. Still like amazing passer, defending like he's playing in 2013. Like I haven't seen LeBron defend this well in the regular season probably since like 2013, 2014. Like it's been a long time since we've seen him defend like this. But it's good to see LeBron just somehow with age, 36 years old, continue to elevate his game to new levels. Still think he's right in the middle of the MVP conversation. I mean, the race for me switches every day, but I think like LeBron, if he can just keep this Laker team like where they are, still while playing good basketball when Anthony Davis comes back, you know, he's going to be right there for that MVP in the end. But I know he has bigger goals than MVP at the end of the year. So, you know, I still think, you know, once this Laker team gets healthy, they will be in that position. Also, Kyle Kuzma missed this game. Probably would have really helped him in this game because besides LeBron, nobody else was really consistent. Like, Markieff Morris had a solid game, but he wasn't showing a lot of shots. He was hitting the shots, but he wasn't taking a lot of shots. Then the Schroeder struggled a little bit, you know, offensively, shooting the ball. And yeah, it's good to see like Damian Jones has been getting minutes. He had a big game in his first performance. I think that could be like a pretty good addition to this team because I think they kind of been missing that athletic big that's actually like a big, like Montrezl Harrell, athletic, undersized. He's like 6'6", 6'7", maybe on a good day. Marc Gasol's not really, you know, he's not an athlete. I mean, he's like very smart, intelligent defender, can stretch the floor, but he's not like, you know, JaVale McGee was for them, Dwight Howard was for them. Not like that. So I think Damian Jones, if he can get his confidence up, come into his own, he can be big for this team. Also, Talon Horton-Tucker, very smooth player, bro. I like watching him play. He's got game for sure, and he had a nice game tonight too. But big win for the Suns. I just spent a lot of time talking about this game. I'm gonna get into the next one. Bucks and Nuggets. The Bucks are such a very confusing team. If you ask, like, I don't really know how to gauge them really until the playoffs come around. Like they just, you know, they won a couple games on national TV. They beat the Clippers on Sunday. They beat the Pelicans a couple days before that. Hard team to gauge. Like I don't know really how to gauge them. We'll just have to see like once the playoff comes around. I don't really have too much to say about them. Let's focus on the Nuggets. We can talk about, you know, Jamal Murray. He's been playing a lot better lately. He's, you know, been on one of them kind of hot streaks. Had another good game tonight. Had 24. Of course, Joker, he does what he does, man. And he's been like more aggressive offensively this season. He's been in shape all year, which is good to see. He had another triple-double tonight. He had 37 total points. Like, Joker's the real deal. But I want to talk about like PJ Dozier, bro. I want to talk about PJ Dozier and just this Nuggets supporting cast. Because when I was watching, PJ Dozier was doing his thing. And I think he's somebody, he got some minutes in the playoffs last year, like, you know, real minutes in important games, like important stretches in games too. I think he's somebody that, like, you know, obviously Jeremy Grant was like huge for them last season. And especially in the playoffs. But I think he's somebody that if he can keep his confidence up, you know, continue to develop, he's still a very young player. Like I still remember him playing at South Carolina on that, I think Final Four. Yeah, they made the Final Four that year. I think there was like the 8th seed or something like that. But I think if he can continue to develop, he can be a very helpful piece for this Nuggets team because he can defend. Like he can really defend. He puts in a lot of effort on the defensive end, and he's actually a pretty solid offensive player too. And he seems to be in the right place at the right time, you know, most of the time for this team, especially on the offensive end. I think he's somebody that if he continues to develop, he can really help this Nuggets team. Just 5 games over 500 right now, but you know, all it takes is, you know, a little win streak to put some, you know, momentum together. And this Nuggets team has the firepower to do that, especially the way Jamal Murray's been playing. You're still missing your glue guy, Paul Millsap. Michael Porter Jr. is still kind of working his way back into the lineup, you know, with all that virus stuff. You know, this team, I think this Nuggets team, like, I don't think that Western Conference Finals bid was a kind of a fluke. You know, still a very young team at the same time, too. Their top 2 players are still very young. Like, that's the crazy thing. But guys like PJ Dozier can be big time, man. Monte Morris is one of my favorite players in the league. Like, sounds weird, but he just like he's a backup point guard, but he controls the pace of the game so well with that second unit. And he's just a winning player. Like when he's at Iowa State, winning player. Like he was one of my favorite players to watch in college, because he's not gonna turn the ball over, and he's gonna get his assists too. Like he makes plays, very efficient, knocks down shots. That's why he got that extension in the offseason. Well-deserved extension, by the way. He's just one of my favorite guys in the league. Just a solid dude overall. And yeah, this Nuggets team, I think, once they get all their guys back, gonna be a dangerous team in that Western Conference. But the West is stacked. Like, you can say that about a lot of teams, but at the same time, Clippers at the top, Lakers at the top, of course. The Suns looking really good. Portland, Denver, probably Utah, of course, the best team in the NBA. Like, there's a lot of teams in that Western Conference, but I think the Nuggets, I think they can be, they have a puncher's chance at the end of the day. Celtics Clippers. Celtics got the win in this one. Kemba Walker continues to, play better of late after he had that kind of bad game on national television. Other than that, he's been really solid over the last couple of weeks, for real. Still trying to get his legs under him. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown kind of been like struggling lately. And I was listening to All the Smoke. Shout out to Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes. That's one of my favorite basketball podcasts out there, man. Shout out to those guys. But Matt Barnes brought up a point, and something I've been saying, like, Marcus Smart, his importance to this team, but he brought up some numbers that, back this up. He said, like, before, when Marcus Smart was on the court, JB and JT were both averaging like 27. Now I think, JT's down to 24, percentages a little lower. JB also is down on his percentages. He's down to like 22 points per game. So, and he brought up the fact that, Marcus Smart takes that defensive assignment a lot of the times. Like the best wings on the other team, Marcus Smart's going to take that assignment every time. So, that's putting a lot more on these guys defensively, so it's taken away from their offensive game as well. Also, Marcus Smart makes it easier for them because, he's a good playmaker too. So, getting him back is going to be important. Good win for the C's, get back over 500. No Kawhi in this game, so kind of hard to gauge, like, too much with no Kawhi. But the Clippers, I think they're going to be fine at the end of the day. People need to stop the weird Paul George hate. I don't understand it. It needs to stop. I think it's like social media stuff, but bro, when he plays good, nobody talks about it. But he has an 0 for 5 fourth quarter, and everybody's dogging him. I mean, he had a 1 for 7 fourth quarter tonight. But without Paul George, they're not in this game at all. They're not in this game at all, and especially him on both sides of the floor. They would have got blown out by 20 points without Paul George in this game. So I was gonna make a whole video about like Paul George, Lonzo Ball, like, bro, keep that same energy with those guys, man. Like, just it's weird. It's weird at the end of the day. Good win for the Celtics. Hopefully Marcus Smart gets back soon for them because they definitely need him. The Knicks got blown out by the Spurs. The Knicks got over 500 and dropped right back down to 500. But Derrick Rose, I think, is in the virus protocol stuff. I don't think he has it. I think it's contact tracing. So sucks for them because they've been playing so much better with Derrick Rose on this team. Big loss. Emmanuel quickly had another, big scoring game. But you can see the difference without Derrick Rose on the court. Spurs are just so solid still. Like, under the radar team, 18-13 right now. And this is on me. Because I had DeMar DeRozan as an all-star. I remember I put him in last second and I didn't write it down on my sheet. And when I talked about it in the reserve video, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, DeMar DeRozan was on my all-star ballot. And that's just how under the radar he is and how underrated he is now. That even I forgot I had him as an all-star. But if an injury maybe pops up, I think he should be the next guy on the list. I want to talk about DeJounte Murray, though. Such a solid player, man. Such a solid player. Does all the little things, and he's developing his offensive game even more. Becoming more than just a defensive, all defensive player. Like, he's really developing his game. You like to see the growth of these young players. Like, Keldon Johnson's been, pretty solid this season, showing some growth. Yeah, good to see but Frank Ntilikina got some minutes tonight, and he actually played pretty solid. Good to see him. He made a big defensive play the other night too that I didn't get to talk about, but yeah, it's good to see, the Spurs playing good basketball, these young players getting more reps. Trey Lyles had a pretty good game too. Yeah, Keldon Johnson's coming off the bench now. Kind of weird. I don't know, there might have been an injury or something, but the Spurs are kind of a hard team to, keep in tune with all the time. Like, watch a lot of their games. And I have fallen off watching their games lately. I'm not going to lie. But, shout out to the Spurs getting a big win. I didn't watch the Hawks and the Heat. Looked like a nasty game. 94-80 was the final score. Trae Young, I guess, had a good playmaking game. He had 10 assists. I can't really speak too much on that. But Lloyd Pierce did get fired as the Hawks head coach. And now Nate McMillan is back in as an interim head coach. Shouldn't have got fired in the first place, in my opinion. But, the Pacers seem to think they want to go in a different direction. Can't fault them for that. Good to see Nate McMillan getting another shot, to prove something. Let's see if he can help turn this Hawks season around. In the last game, the Wizards lost to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies been playing really good basketball lately. Didn't get to watch most of this game, but John Morant, he's the real deal, bro. Like, real deal. Like, 35 and 10 assists. And this game is just so, it's so fluent. And he doesn't really, look to, be that big time, 25 point per game score. I think if he really wanted to, he could, but he's just such a smart player. He doesn't have to do that. And still, no Jaren Jackson in the lineup. This team is, I think this team is going to be sneaking around that, the 8th seed range, really, when that playoff race comes around. They'll definitely be in the play-in my opinion. Can't wait to see when they get healthy. Good to see Justice Winslow back on the court, too. I feel like he hasn't played basketball in so long. It feels like it's been 3 years since he's played basketball. Numbers wise, it looked like he had a solid game. Played 21 minutes, so that's good to see him on the court. And yeah, that's the recap. That's the recap, y'all. Like I said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'm gonna be back next time with another video, y'all. Peace.